All right, so let's go ahead and go to Smash Bros. Brawl. So before we talk about the game itself, I thought we would talk a little bit about the Smash website and
Oh
maybe
man.
also the first trailer. So what were your experiences with that?
The first trailer?
Yeah, or
Was
I guess just like the website and the first trailer.
was the trailer the one that showed off Snake? Was that the first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that one was crazy. Like just the giant bombs and the just seeing the graphics. It was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a pretty big deal, but for me, man, I have so much nostalgia for the reveals on the website because if you don't know, it would be like every day, and I think I probably guess it would be what, like 6 a.m., 3 a.m. or something. It was at a weird time because it was like Japanese time, but basically every
Mm-hmm.
morning you could wake up and there would be a new piece of information about Smash Bros. Brawl. And sometimes it was like, here's a new item. Sometimes it was like, here's a returning item. Sometimes it was a stage. Sometimes it was, hey, Sonic is in this game. Like,
Yeah.
but it was pretty much every day was something big. I mean, items might not be that big, but it was still pretty big. And the way it was written too, and the way it was shown off, everything felt important. Everything felt big. And I would wake up before school, go on the computer, just check it, because that would be a cool highlight to my day, a cool like little nice way to start the day.
Yep.
And that was really cool. They kind of did this with Smash for Wii U with like daily Miiverse post picks, but it was not the same at all because this was like a website. There was details like every day. There was a big written thing of whatever they posted, not just like some random picture that might be funny. This was like a big deal. What about you?
Yeah, very similar thoughts. Like comparing the Smash Dojo website where all the brawl reveals were happening and the Miiverse Smash 4 pictures. The big difference I think is that the Smash 4 pictures don't really have any value. They're just kind of like random snapshots
Hmm.
and perfect material for Game Explain to, examine every single snapshot. Anyway,
There were
getting
there
off
were
topic.
there were some that had good information, but yeah, there was a lot of them that
Yeah.
was like Sakurai was like, I took a silly pic of, Samus smacking Diddy Kong, like,
I didn't even pay attention to the pictures, honestly.
yeah,
And the thing with Brawl is like they didn't really hype up anything. You showed up and it was either okay, the options cool, or it was, oh my god, a new character. Like you never knew what you were going to expect. It was
yeah,
always exciting because it was completely random when something really big was going to happen.
hmm
Like there was brand new music, stage builder, that was huge when they
yeah,
first announced that.
yeah.
And again, like they didn't hype any of this up. They didn't need to because like it was just exciting in general.
I was hyped. I was getting up every morning to extra
Yeah.
early, like, yeah, I
Yeah.
it was nuts. I was very excited for Brawl because at that point, we're talking like 2008ish time, right?
Mhm.
At that point, we were getting older. I still considered like a kid back in the first two games coming out. But Brawl was like we were in what, like high school at that
Yeah, I
point?
was in 8th grade. I remember.
Yeah, almost high school, middle school. So like we're getting older, getting to use the internet more, getting to see more like reveals on the internet.
Yep.
Taking games a little more seriously. I was anyway. Like when I was a kid, I just kind of messed around with games. But now I was taking it more seriously, more interested in the games industry. And so this was like a very, very big deal for me. All the reveals and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah, I remember actually that Sonic was announced like it was either on my birthday or a couple days before my birthday.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, this is like the greatest. I considered it a birthday present at the time. I was like, this is so cool. Because I always wanted Sonic in Melee. I was like, no, they're not going to do that. And then there he is. He's right there. It's crazy. I remember the first time I watched the trailer, I didn't watch it like most people did. I remember I was actually in Hawaii and I saw for the first time a Nintendo Power magazine. I just so happened to pick up the Nintendo Power magazine that had a bonus DVD in it. And on this DVD were 30 video trailers for the upcoming Nintendo Revolution.
Oh.
And it was so cool. I replayed this DVD like 1,000 times because you couldn't really watch this content anywhere else at the time. There was trailers for the new Twilight Princess. There's like a 3-minute trailer. WarioWare, a bunch of other games. But the last one was Smash Bros. Brawl. And that trailer is literally the most hyped trailer I've ever seen in my life still to this day. The first time I watched it, and even now, I get goosebumps just watching it. Like,
yeah, it's a good trailer.
It's so ridiculous. Like, in my opinion, this is probably the most hyped game of all time. Maybe Smash 4 tops it, but Brawl, the hype for that game was ridiculous. Like, no one used the word hype back then, but this is the definition of hype.
This was E306 was when it was announced. So, yeah, this was like right even very, very early days of YouTube. So yeah, I don't know if it would have been on YouTube even. You're right. Like,
it might have been on YouTube, but I didn't really use that back then.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk about when the game actually came out. What did you first think of the game?
Well, it was one of the few games, and the few to this day, that I went to GameStop. Maybe the only one that I ever actually went to GameStop, but I went to GameStop at midnight to get the game. I was that excited.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't have to stand in line. I just went at midnight and picked it up. But yeah, I got it, played it for hours and hours and hours, and just had so much fun unlocking stuff and seeing all the stuff. Because the thing about Brawl, there's a lot in that game. They packed
so much.
So many modes. Like, there's just a list of like all these Nintendo games. Like, why is it there? I don't know, but it's cool. Here's a list of every game Nintendo made. There you go. Why not? Just getting to experience. And this was all single player. This is all just me goofing around with classic and adventure and adventure, quote unquote. Something entirely different that we could talk about in a minute. Just messing around with all these things and just, I loved it. It was great. It was one of the first games, I guess, maybe, that I was, actively so hyped for. I'd followed all the news. I'd been ready, and I got it. I wanted to get it as soon as it came out, because the thing was about Smash Bros. Brawl was that it was delayed 4 or 5 times, which that definitely made the hype real, because when nothing's more like anticipation than when you have an announcement and a release date, and then that release date gets broken again and again. I don't know if they actually released a date, but they said December, and it was not December.
Then it was January, and then February. I remember, I think the original date, it was December, and then January, and then it was early March or something like that. I don't take what I said for granted. I don't know exactly what day it was released, but yeah, it was interesting, because when they delayed it, it was a week before it was going to come out. They're like, sorry, we're patching things. And what they were doing was trying to fix their online, which I guess we'll talk about the online later.
Yeah. What were your first experiences?
Interesting enough, I have never purchased Brawl in my life. At the time, I didn't have the money for it. I was 13 or 14.
Nate's a thief, confirmed.
I'm a thief. No, but one of my friends, Luke, both of us were super hyped for this game. And Luke actually ended up begging his parents for Brawl one day, and I didn't know until he called me. He's like, hey, guess what? I just got Brawl. And I was like, you have Brawl? How did you get it? He's like, I just begged my parents for it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to come over. And for the first couple weeks, we played this game for 6 to 8 hours every single day. We were obsessed. I remember we played through the Subspace Emissary, the whole thing co-op, a crap ton of just regular matches. We would do the co-op target test and try to get, beat our times over and over again. God, that game was just, it was so much fun at first.
Yeah. I would bet if you went back in time, that would probably be the game that I had played the most. At a certain point in time, the game that I had put the most hours in. Before Minecraft and Hearthstone and other games, at that point, that would have been the game that I played the most at that point in time.
Same here.
There's so much to see in it and so much to do. And then I guess we could talk about it now. There is an online mode, and it was one of the first games that I had that had online, along with probably Mario Kart 7. And I had the little Wii dongle, the little Wii Ethernet, or the Nintendo Ethernet, whatever it was called. I still have that stupid little thing. But you had to have it. You had to have a very special thing. It's not like today where it's just hook it up to the Wi-Fi. You had to have a whole little rigmarole.
Yeah, they sucked at the internet at first.
Yeah,
well, they're still not that great at it, but
yeah. Well, the whole thing about the brawls online is that when it worked, which was not all the time, you would wait in a lobby and then get kicked from the lobby. Basically, I don't know that I ever played a game online in real time, because it would be slow motion, just slow mo matches. I don't know about your experiences, but mine, for the few times I tried it, because it doesn't take long before you just give up. Yeah, just super slow-mo matches. Matches that ended halfway through because someone got disconnected or something. Or you just rage quit because you're just, like, done with this nonsense.
So sick of the controls.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, of the lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, honestly, all of us had the same kind of experiences. I remember there was one time I got an online match to work, and it was the laggiest match I've ever played, ever in my entire life. It was pretty bad. Like, what I did like about the online was that you could share stages and share photos and stuff. That seemed to work okay. Like, I actually did that a lot with one of my friends at school. Like, he would send me stages and I would send him stages, which was
cool.
neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there was a stage of the day, too, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was.
And that was pretty
Wow.
cool. You could download it. Yeah, for a while.
I actually forgot about that.
But it was novel that they had it. I mean, depending on your experiences, if you grew up playing more like Xbox and PlayStation stuff, at that point online was still relatively new, but not like a novelty, and especially not at the way it worked in Brawl. But for me, who I should correct, it wasn't Mario Kart 7, it was Mario Kart DS was probably my first online game, or the one that really at least worked. But it was still pretty big novelty, and it was kind of cool it was there. It really did suck that it didn't work, but it was kind of cool that it was there. And yeah, like you said, it was cool that there was also other online implementation, which was relatively new for Nintendo. The other big mode that we should talk about is the Subspace Emissary, which was the adventure mode in Smash Brawl. What are your experiences with it?
Subspace Emissary is awesome. It's really a shame that there wasn't something like that in Smash 4.
Well, we can talk about that in a minute. We can talk about that in a minute, but
the Emissary, oh man, it was so great. Like, I actually feel a bit ashamed of doing this, but like 2 weeks before the game was launched, I actually watched the whole Subspace Emissary and all the cutscenes online.
You're part of the problem.
Japanese version.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I shouldn't have done it.
Oh,
I shouldn't have done it. But I was like, what are the new characters? And then I saw Rob. I'm like, what the hell? Rob is in this game? This is crazy. I feel... Oh, God, I feel bad for doing that.
I didn't. And yeah, it was insane.
Would have been so much more rewarding not doing that. But it was still a ton of fun to play.
So the gameplay is fun. Like, I wouldn't say it's particularly great or particularly bad. I think it's fun. I think it's fun for a single-player playthrough, and I think it's also fun... like a second time if you have a friend, because it's pretty cool second player. But yeah, the highlight of it was the clips and just the insanity and the matchups of like, here's Pikachu with Samus. Like, you ever want to see that partner? Well, too bad, because it's here and it's awesome. Like, really cool thing, really cinematic, really awesome clips. And yeah, the gameplay was pretty fun too. I like adventure mode from Melee. It is different from adventure mode because it is its own like designed universe. But they do a lot of fun things with it. Instead of crossing over like characters in like other characters' locations, they do more of a crossover of like, here are these two characters, we're gonna buddy up together.
Because everyone, obviously, I'm sure everyone knows, all the characters kind of unite to defeat Master Hand and Taboo. Well, actually, you don't even fight Master Hand in the Subspace. I meant to just say Taboo.
Oh, by the way, fun story about Taboo. I didn't know, for the longest time, I didn't know really how to air dodge, so I had no idea how to dodge that one attack. I thought it was I thought it was just, you gotta take damage. Just suck it up. Take it.
I think you can roll dodge, actually. That's how I do it. I just roll dodge. Because it's an insta-kill.
Also, the way to unlock all the characters. There are alternate ways, but that is like the surefire way. Just like you could just play a bunch of matches in Melee. But that took like a lot more time. This is just like, play through this mode and you get all the characters except for 3, and then those 3 are also in Subspace Emissary, but you have to do like specific kind of side quests, I guess you could call them.
Yeah, they're hidden really well, basically.
Yeah. So there are 3 obscure ones, and it's Toon Link, Jigglypuff, and Wolf, right?
Yep, those 3. It's probably the last 3 characters they developed.
Yeah.
And that would make sense, because that's why they're not in any of the cutscenes. Because they probably didn't plan to have those last 3, but I guess they had the time or something.
Yeah. So what are your favorites in terms of characters and stages?
Well, I had to abandon Fox. I felt really bad. I know. I hate how he plays in Brawl. He feels... I feel like they added extra frames to all of his moves. Like, they made all of his moves feel slower, and I hate that about him in Brawl, and even kind of in Smash 4. So, I play as Ike, Rob, and Sonic. Those are my 3 favorite characters. I remember when I first got the game, I played the heck out of Sonic. Like, oh my god, I was
Really?
so spammy with him. I was so spammy with it was Sonic. I was like, oh my god, I love Sonic. He's in Smash Bros. He's my main officially.
Yeah, no, I hated Sonic in this game. I thought it was really boring because like every one of his attacks, it's kind of the same thing.
His attacks are pretty lame. And you know, once I figured out his attacks were basically all the same, I started playing as Ike and Rob. That's who I mainly play as now. What about you?
Oh, to stick with tradition, Toon Link. Just a cooler version of Young Link, really. Same, like, lightness. Also, they made Link... The regular Link was based off of Twilight Princess, and his boomerang was based off of the Gust boomerang in that game. And I wasn't crazy about that. I like the boomerang that's just a classic boomerang. So that's part of why I like Toon Link over regular Link. But yeah, Toon Link, just a lot of fun. A lot of, down swords and boomerangs and just all that sort of stuff. I've been pretty consistent with playing Toon Link and Young Link and Link, but to be honest, I played around with a lot of characters. I played around with Game & Watch and DDD. I don't not to say that I only play as Toon Link. It's just that's my favorite in this game. And in terms of stages, I really like PictoChat. I think it's
that
like
stage is great.
Yeah, it's like a nice kind of open stage, but at the same time, like there's a lot of space. At the same time, just totally crazy stuff happens. What about you
It's
for
obtrusive,
stages?
but it's not that obtrusive.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, I think I made a top 10 on like the most unique stages, and I think PictoChat is number 1.
Yeah.
God, I love that stage. In terms of, it's really hard. See, once you get into Brawl and Smash 4, it's really hard to remember all the stages.
There's a lot.
So, off the top of my head, I can think of Delfino. Delfino or Delfino?
Delfino.
Delfino, okay. People have corrected me 1,000 times. How to say
I mean, actually, I shouldn't say that because I don't know for sure. I call it Delfino, so sure, that's the right way.
Delfino. That stage is so great. It's a moving stage, but again, it's not obtrusive. There's nothing that's really like obnoxious. Like whenever you're traveling from one place to the other, it's nothing that's going to really throw you off. Like everything's really predictable. And I'm also a pretty big fan of Luigi's Mansion. I love that you can actually destroy the stage and just destroy the whole house. I think that's really neat.
Yeah. What don't you like about this game, if anything?
Well, aside from the online, which we already kind of touched on, now that I've really played this game a lot more, like it was hard for me to see at first, the flaws, but there's 3 main things for me. First off, I don't like the gameplay. I've realized it feels kind of slow. It's not necessarily bad, like it still feels smooth, but it's really slow for me. I like fast-paced fighting games. That's why I like Melee so much. Tripping, like everyone else, was really annoying. Can't tell you how many times I've lost a match due to tripping.
Yeah.
And I also am not the biggest fan of the stickers. I feel like they were just kind of pointless. Like I get it, they were used for the Subspace Emissary.
I never used them.
Cool.
I never used them.
You don't need to use them unless you're playing on like intense mode where you actually need to power up your character. Then sure, I guess the stickers are useful. But I wish they put the time that they did for making the stickers to add another character instead.
Or more trophies, just like even more trophies.
But
yeah,
God,
I think
there's like 600 trophies.
Honestly, I think I agree with the stickers. I think the point was just to have more collectibles like trophies, but like easier to design or whatever. But yeah, they ended up kind of being pointless. Tripping. It didn't really bother me too much when I was younger, but I don't think there's much of an argument for why they're a good thing. They're definitely not. The online, but thinking about it, this was the game that added a number of stages that I would consider definitely not fun. Newport City was awful. You can't see that. The main thing about Newport City is that it zooms out really far because not just the player characters, but there's also these monsters that come up, and the camera zooms to see them. So when they're on screen, like you're an ant. I don't care how big a TV screen you have, you're small.
You can't see where you are.
And the city itself, the design of the stage, it's all very gray and samey. It just doesn't look good. This was also the one that introduces 75M, the Donkey Kong stage that people don't like.
God.
Which, if you played it in Smash 4, it was worse in Brawl. It was even smaller. Like, you had less room to maneuver. This is also the one with Rumble Falls, which was
that's another bad one.
Yeah, that's the Donkey Kong stage that moved upwards really fast in a really annoying way, and there's just a decent
and the Mario
number.
Bros stage is bad too.
Yeah, the one that moves. Yeah, this is.
Oh no, the remember that it's the arcade styled Mario Bros stage?
Oh, you're right. You're right. The original one. Yeah, I don't like Mushroomy
Yeah.
Kingdom either. I like the concept of like this.
Yeah.
It looks like the Mario game, but like because it's a walk off and because it scrolls, it's obnoxious. But yeah, there were some stinky levels in Melee, and like I said, I wasn't crazy about the Mario stage in the original, but Brawl, for as many stages as it added, there were a good number of them that stunk. And
That were bad. Yeah.
what really stinks about that is that you have to play on them if you play like classic. Like you're kind of stuck. Like you can obviously choose when you're playing with your friends, but also if you choose like random, you're kind of stuck. There might have been an option, but in general, yeah. Do you feel the same way about the stages?
Yeah, definitely. This is a point in time where quality does not equal quantity.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stages. I can't say that they didn't work hard on all of them. It looks like they put a lot of time and creativity, but when you get something like Hannonbow, like, what even is that stage? Why did you make this? Like, I feel like it was just Socrates trolling us. Electroplankton. Yeah, it's from the game Hannonbow or whatever.
Yeah, this was, I think, honestly, I don't think it was that they were trying to have as many stages as possible. I think they were trying to experiment, which, hey, good for them. They came out with some cool things, like Luigi's Mansion stage that breaks apart.
And the WarioWare stages are really sweet, too.
But I don't know that I agree. But yeah, there was a lot that just didn't work. And I mean, like, something like New Pork City was fairly obvious. I think really any amount of playtesting should have shown that, like, look, you gotta do something about the camera. You gotta shrink the stage, or you gotta, like, nix these monsters or something. It's like you said before, really, in Smash history, the best and probably the only good example of a giant stage is the temple from Legend of Zelda.
And it works so well because there's actually a lot of ground to use and everything is enclosed like really close together. Like it's a big stage, but there's a lot of different levels to fight on. And that's the problem with New Pork City. A lot of times you're just running, like you're either running really far or you're just jumping all over the place. Like half the time you're just trying to jump to a platform just so you can fight. That shouldn't be the
It's just a bunch of platforms, whereas Hyrule Temple, it's very well designed. Like there are specific areas to fight in, and unless you have a friend that's going to be annoying about it, typically the camera's not going to zoom out crazy far. You have to be on like opposite ends of the map in order for that sort of thing to happen. But yeah, that would probably be one of the criticisms of Brawl. But in general, I do really like Brawl. There's a lot of people that don't like it because to the more competitive, it is a step down from Melee, but I'm not super competitive and I never was with it, and to me it was just, here's a bunch more characters, a bunch more trophies, a bunch more everything. There was, from the first Smash Bros. To Melee was a big step up, then Melee to Brawl was also a big step up in just a lot of content.
Which is impressive because Melee already had a lot of content.
Yeah. Very much so.
Like, if there's one thing I can say about this game, regardless of if you hate it or not, you got your bang for the buck. Or how do you say it? The buck.
You got your
bang for your buck. I have never seen a game with so much content before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just ridiculous. It took me probably a good 6 months to like thoroughly try everything out, and that's playing the game for dozens and dozens and dozens of hours.
Absolutely. I'm ready to move on if you are.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Smash Bros. For the 3DS and the Wii U. So what we're going to try to do is kind of mesh the conversation together. We'll talk about the differences between both games and whatnot. But I guess to start,